What's up, everyone? Good afternoon to every single one of you in UK. Good evening to every single one of you joining me from Asia, and I suppose good morning to every single one of you joining me from USA and that side of the world. Um, this is slightly unusual timing today for me to do a show. I usually don't do shows at about this kind of time, but uh, we have a very special guest today joining me, so I'll introduce him later on. First of all, big up to every single one of you in the chats and in the comments. I Let me see who is in the comments. Okay, it's just Eugene here at the moment. Hi everyone, big up. Levy out. Yes, Levy, get out. And we are streaming currently on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter right now. So whichever platform you're joining us from, big up to every single one of you. You can post your comments down in YouTube and both Facebook. I don't think I'll be able to see your comments in here in the chat from Twitter. If you're on the Twitter and you'd like to jump on and share your thoughts, make sure you go to either YouTube or Facebook. Then I'll be able to see your comments there. And without further ado, let's introduce the guest for today. Actually, this guy, I have been on his streams few times, like to watch him, and all, and one of those Spurs fans or content creators, I would say very realistic in terms of how he shares his content, and definitely not deluded. Definitely not deluded. This guy, he's one of the most realistic YouTubers I think I've met in this community. Like he analyze the news, he will analyze the stats, he will discuss about the predictions and all that. Like one of those guys, I really look up to, like his content, and I always look forward to his uploads and his videos. Always a pleasure to listen to, and all. And it's my privilege this time that, yeah, I'm hosting him for the very first time at Step Up Spurs. And let's bring on Tommy from the Hotspur Hood. Hi, Tommy. How you doing?
I'm very well. I'm very well, thank you. It's an absolute privilege to be on your channel for the first time. You gave me a great introduction there, more than I deserve, I think. But I try to keep things real. I know you try to keep things real too. So yeah, it's great to be on.
Yeah, man. Like we need to be real. There are a lot of delusions out there in the world. Yep.
There is.
So Tommy, how have you been? As
I'm
in,
good. I'm good. Like, I done a live stream last night. Got a little bit fiery on the channel. In general, yeah, in general, very good. And of course, Nottingham Forest. We finally got a go. I've been doing these short vids, and we haven't scored since I started doing these short videos. So not only did we score, we won 3-1. It was pretty comfortable in the end. So in terms of Spurs, I'm pretty confident going into the weekend. I'm sure we're certainly gonna get into that.
yeah, man. You stay in London. Do you go for the games usually at the stadium, or you watch at home usually?
I watch at least 3 or 4, maybe 5 a year. So I'm certainly not a season ticket holder. I've never been a season ticket holder. I try and catch about 4 a season. So far, none. I've been away, I've been abroad and that, but the football and with the fans we have there falling asleep in the first half, against West Ham and the likes, not really up for it. Not really up for spending £150 to see that. Uh, but but yeah, no, I try to go to 4 or 5. I'll try and catch a couple of games before the end of this season. That's for
Well,
sure.
you are lucky you haven't been to the games. I mean, some of the season ticket holders are deciding to give up their season tickets this season
Yes,
as well.
yes,
And
they are.
those who are keeping their tickets, they are not going and they are doing their watch alongs. Still,
He's
as
done. He's done. He's
we have done.
boycotting it. There's quite a few boycotts.
Yeah, man. So
Spurs
true.
fans.
Um, I mean, honestly, I've boycotted merch this year. I never boycotted that as well, but I still buy those cheap ones from the Malaysian night markets. You get it for a really cheap price. Like I think in British pounds, it will be like £2-3 maybe. Those merch, I don't buy the official merch anymore. But Tommy, since you are here for the first time, as always, when I have someone for the first time, I usually ask them like, where did your love for football started? And were you always a football fan? It started in the family. How was it like, Tommy and football? Tell us a bit about it.
So I was born in Tottenham. I was born in Tottenham, like
Oh
half a mile
wow.
away from the ground. All my family's from there, but I only really got into football when I left. I moved an hour away, not really near Tottenham at all. That's when I gained my love. And I have to say, when I was in Tottenham, 6 years old, I left when I was 6. My cousin bought me a Man United shirt. So
Wow.
You'd have only ever seen me in Tottenham. If I was wearing a shirt, it would have been a Man United shirt. I had no choice in the matter. I had no
You
choice in the matter.
survived. You survived that time wearing the Man United shirt in Tottenham.
Yeah, no, it was. Yeah, it was. I don't think I ever wore it out. I mean, it was literally maybe in the house. That's about it. But I didn't know. I didn't know any better. What was crazy, where I grew up, at the stadium near the stadium, we could hear the home games in my balcony. We could hear the chants in my balcony, which is crazy. So yeah, Spurs
Wow.
Spurs runs deep, and since I was 7 years old and left, I've been I've been
Perhaps
Spurs man.
on the day you were born, you heard the first thing you heard was a Tottenham chant, was it?
Yeah, could be. There's every chance. There's every
We,
chance.
we shall look out. Was there a game going on the day you were born?
No, 22nd of October, 1989. I don't know what date it is. You could be right. You could be right.
Yeah, there could be a game going on. And so were you a football player as well, or like your passion for football just started as a fan, as a spectator, or were you or ever involved in like your local club or in your school?
So when I grew up, I played on the street. So we used to play on the street, five-a-side, six-a-side. Me and my mates. It's quite a big. I grew up in a council estate, so there's a hell of a lot of football guys there. And from there, yeah, I joined like 11-a-side teams and always playing in my school. I actually played when I was 16 years old. I actually played against Chris Smalling. 11-a-side. I played against Chris
Oh
Smalling.
wow.
So I was yeah, small club called Tyler Hill, and he played for Maidstone. And he had scouts then. There were scouts watching him and his centre back partner then. So yeah, I can say I played against Chris Smalling. It was quite a battle.
Yeah, man. That would have been quite. But what was your position? Were you a striker?
I was a centre back. I was quite short for a centre back, but I was yeah. No, I played centre back. I loved it. Full back originally, but yeah, most when I played football, it was pretty much always centre back.
How tall are you? Just
I'm
curious.
5'11". I was small.
Okay, you're taller than me.
Right, I was small for a centre back, but I tell you what, the best centre backs in the world, Cannavaro, last player to win Ballon d'Or as a centre back was 5'9". Baresi, 5'9" as well. Two of the greatest centre backs of all time. You could argue the two greatest centre backs of all time in the last 30
Yeah,
years. Under 5'10". So height
all
means
still
nothing.
all still taller than me, by the way. I'm like
You're not a centre back. Are you centre back? Do you play
no,
centre
no,
back?
no. I'm not a center back. I'm more like a right back, you can say. But
Okay.
I rarely play football. I mean, I played a bit in school. Then I started focusing on badminton. But
My best years, without a doubt, playing football. Saturday with my mates up the fields and on my estate. They're the best days. Doesn't matter what happens in the future. They were the best days. Absolutely loved it.
yeah, man, like Tommy, the center back. I mean, I always get some players like the other day I was having a chat with Will Stewart as well, and he said that yeah, he used to be a center back as well during his school days.
That's not
And
surprising. Have you seen how tall he is? About 6'4",
yeah,
apparently.
yeah, he's like
6'4",
6 feet
6'5".
5. That's huge. And
Massive.
he was saying that he was short for a basketball team, which was surprising for me. Like, how tall do the basketball players have to be? 7 feet. He was like, that's huge for me, really.
That is
Five
no.
feet.
It's 6'8". It's 6'8", 6'9". If you're under 6'8" in basketball these days, you are probably considered small. Like it's madness. It's madness.
Yeah, man. I am not even tall enough, like I said, to even qualify for a badminton team.
But you can play. But playing the hole. That's if you're slightly short. That's usually the position where you can play in the hole. Or fullback's fine. But yeah, height doesn't matter. It's not. It's not key. It's not important at all.
Yeah, it's your skill and I mean your work rate as well. But yeah, I'm a short person, just so you just so you all know. And Tommy is taller than me. I'm just waiting one day I can have someone on my stream who is shorter than me. Not yet. I have found one.
Let me think. No, I'm trying to think.
Perhaps
I
the
don't
kids.
really. I've met a lot of the streamers in general. Yeah, not too many short. I'm trying to think. No, I don't think there is. I don't think there is.
Perhaps maybe Dan THFC is shorter than me at the moment.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, possibly.
Only those youngsters, perhaps maybe. And since I think you shared with us like how you ended up supporting Tottenham, tell us a bit more about your early Tottenham days. Which era was it? How did your passion grew for loving Tottenham, and why Tottenham over Man United? Come on, mate, you could have made a better choice there.
So yeah, no, no. Do you know what it was actually? Now I think back. I've thought back to this a few times, but my dad used to own like a news agent, it's like a supermarket, and I used to see all the papers, and I remember when Man United won the treble. Man United won the treble, and I was like, well, I don't really want to support Man United here. It doesn't mean anything to me. I'm Tottenham born and bred.
Oh,
I need to support Tottenham. And ever since that stage, ever since after that year, I got really, really into football. Really into football. Not just playing it. I was always into playing it. But no, I was really passionate. And when I watched Spurs play, from that point on, I was Spurs mad. I used to throw the amount of TVs I broke. I smashed screens. I
yeah.
smashed up. Like I was really, really
Like literally smash the screens.
passionate back in the day. Yeah, at least two or three. At least two or three before I
Wow,
was 13,
you're
14.
you're a
Yeah,
dangerous
I
kid to
was
have.
overly passionate back then. You could say.
Okay, and then in the end, you didn't get any scolding from the parents and all that usual
No.
stuff.
Well, yeah, but I had to calm down. I was grounded a few times because of it, but I had to calm down. But I have to say, over the years, that passion sort of fizzled out. I know it has. It has. I have to say,
Right.
over the years, it's sort of fizzled out, especially recently, last few years.
Who was your in your early days? Who was your favorite Tottenham player? Like, I mean, for me, I started watching pretty late, so I think for me, definitely was Kane. But for you, like, who was your favorite Tottenham player when you started watching Tottenham back in those days?
Probably, because you always go for the attacking players, don't you? As much as I play centre back, and I loved Ledley King. Don't get me wrong, Ledley King was magnificent. Uh, Robbie Keane. I loved Robbie Keane. I loved his
Oh,
celebration. I absolutely loved his celebration. Rolling over. I loved his passion for the game. Him and Berbatov up front is probably the best striker duo I've ever seen. Yeah, it was magnificent watching Berbatov and Keane. Yeah, Berbatov completely chill. Keane making the runs down the channel. It was a joy to behold. But it would be between Keane and King. I think Robbie Keane edges it.
that's a good one, definitely.
Not many
I mean,
people would. Not many people would respond with King, would they? I don't think.
yeah, I hardly hear. I mean, some people, yes, but I think you're the second one I heard that he has said that, yeah, Robbie Keane is your favorite player of all time.
Oh,
Is he your
sweet.
favorite player of all time, by the way?
I don't know about all time. I don't know about all time. Wait, Spurs favorite player of all time, um, or just all time, like any player.
Tottenham player of all time.
Oh, it's tricky. It's very, very tricky. Um, yeah, I probably would because they were the young days. Yeah, and you idolise them in your young days. I would say, yeah, yes, probably is Robbie Keane
I mean,
actually.
your first love is your forever love, right?
Don't tell my girlfriend that. Yeah.
I don't know her. Okay,
Not
and I don't think she has subscribed to my channel yet, so I don't think she'll know that.
not yet. I'll keep her clear of the football stuff, of the Spurs stuff. As long as
Yeah,
I
I mean,
keep my voice down. As long as I keep my voice down, I'm all
I
right.
I also remember my first girlfriend a bit more than any of the others. Currently, I'm single. Yeah, and I don't think she is watching either. But never mind. Enough of that. And I think again we know the Spurs this season is definitely not the kind of Spurs that excited you, motivated you towards a passion that Spurs used to have back then. And how is it like? How is it like? I think for you this season. I mean, going into that, being the time when your first love was there. I don't think it's there for anymore. What is it like for you Spurs this season? If you were to sum up Spurs and this season in few words, how would you describe it?
I'm always of the mindset that winning is key. Doesn't matter how you win, just that you win. So I understand Spurs fans' frustrations at the defensive football, at the whatever you want to call it. I disagree. It's defensive to a certain extent, but they are the claims. They are the claims. It's boring. Da, 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 da. But you have to look. You have to get your head outside the picture and forget about entertainment sometimes. Look at the squad and think this is our best chance of keeping our players. Forget about top four in itself, signing players. We never use it to sign players anyway, but we need top four to keep our best players. Kane needs to be playing in the top four. Son, the agents will be on their back. Like you need to be playing top four. You need to be playing top four. Bentancur, Romero, Kulusevski, the players that have come in recently. We want to keep hold of those players. We've got to get top four. I don't hold top four as a trophy. Some people say, "Oh, Tommy, you want top four as a trophy?" No, I want to keep our best players and then potentially sign better players. Not that we did last summer. We signed Richarlison from Everton, Bissouma from Brighton, who, don't get me wrong, good players, but they're Brighton and Everton. You can attract those players if you finish seventh, eighth, ninth, or 10th. So yeah, that's how I see it. That's how I see it. Overall, that's how I see it. Overall, it's been a bad season, but the defense is shocking, absolutely shocking. You cannot attack with this team, or you will finish 7th, 8th, and 9th, and you will lose these best players. So with the tools Conte's got, he's been given, he's doing the best he possibly can. So I'm definitely not in the Conte out troop. It has been a hard watch, of course, for everyone. It's been a hard watch.
Yeah, man, definitely not Conte out. That's another one I think we both agree on. I mean, I just find that Conte out argument a little bizarre. If you are someone that you want free flowing football, attacking football, just that's a priority for you, I think. Go
We
ahead,
all want to
because
see it. We all want to see it, but it's 2023. It's not. You've got tactical masterminds like Klopp and Guardiola attacking football. Just it doesn't work these days. All out attack just doesn't work.
yeah, it doesn't work. Like, I mean, you need to have a good back line. You need to have a control game. I think the other day we were discussing it in the chat as well, that you need to have that element of control and defense in the game as well. If you
Absolutely.
don't have that, you can't win things, definitely. But I want to ask you a little bit more. Before this season, were there a lot of expectations on your end as well? Like, going into this season, were you thinking that yes, this is the season? Because generally, I mean, some of my fellow Spurs fans, friends, they were saying, the more naive ones, they were saying like, we have never actually signed a player before even the summer transfer window started, when we signed Perisic, and the kind of business that we were doing, they were like, yeah, the kind of players that we are getting, it looks like that, yeah, that's the season where we can actually finish ahead, where we can even win titles. Did you have that sort of expectation from this season, going into that, Tommy?
I think we were very, very fortunate to get fourth last season. Extremely fortunate. Conte done a great job. Some of the players done extremely well too. But Arsenal did throw it away. Absolutely, they threw it away last season. So, but I felt like that should have diminished Arsenal because they were up and coming. Falling apart then, I felt like, oh, we will still be above Arsenal the following season. That would have hurt them. It didn't. We know where Arsenal are now. I got that completely wrong. I said Arsenal will fall for a little while, but no. They've got a lot of young players. They've done good business in the summer. And you've got to look at the business. You have to look at the business from last season finishing fourth into this season. That's where you're going to get your predictions probably going to come from the most. And the fact that we didn't sign a single centre-back other than Langley, there's no optional fee anyway. Even if he does well, there's no optional fee to sign him.
Yep.
And across 3 windows. Now, 3 windows, Conte's been in charge. We haven't signed a centre-back, which is crazy considering he plays with 3 centre-backs. 6 in the squad. 6 centre-backs in the squad. We haven't signed a single one. And we know outside Romero, not too many great options amongst the centre-backs. So when that wasn't sorted out, when that wasn't sorted out, I was worried. I was very, very worried.
I was concerned as well. I mean, I was expecting somebody like, let's say, even Hincapi and Dika, one of those guys to at least come in. Skriniar, or even I think DeVridge was, we were linked with him back then in the summer as well, and I was pretty disappointed as well that, yeah, why on earth haven't we signed a center back? I mean, if you all don't know, I think, Tommy, you may not know, I kind of rate Eric Dyer to a certain extent. I had that soft spot for him, because when I started supporting Spurs, yeah, that particular month Eric Dyer had a really good season. So yeah, I always had the soft spot for Eric Dyer. Like, he was like that first love sort of player for me back then. But even then, I mean, this season I feel like he has been awful, really. Like, but I know that despite him being awful, he has been a key player. Like, we have relied on him quite heavily still in the games that we have won, because I realized that if you look at the stats, the games that he hasn't played, we have won, I think, none of them, the games where Eric Dyer has not played. And we have looked even worse in our backline when Eric Dyer has not played.
But he hasn't missed that many games though, have they? So the stats where he hasn't played, there will not be that many stats. There won't be. I don't think there'll be enough stats to make it a reliable argument. But Dyer is key in terms of the other 5 players we have at centre back, because nobody's willing to sit back.
Yeah.
None of them are willing to sit back and play that central role. They can't. Ben Davies has been a fullback his whole life. Yeah. Playing left centre back now is a push in itself. Certainly can't play middle centre back and play deep. Tanganga's played right back for us. So you've got 2 fullbacks. There's 2 of the 6 centre backs. Romero's ultra aggressive. That's not going to work. Davinson Sanchez is ultra aggressive. It's not going to work. We don't have the players to play in that middle role. So Dyer has to start out of the 6. I don't rate him at all. I really personally, I don't rate him at all. But I understand why he's in the team. I feel like he's a good guy. He's a good guy off the pitch, and he's someone that's probably good in the dressing room too. But in terms of quality as a footballer, I think
No,
we
agree
need
with
to
you
move
there.
on. We need to move on from Eric Dyer. But your wish might be coming true. You're like, I'm sure you want him to stay longer because his contract sounds like it's going to be offered at some point this season. At some stage of this season.
Yeah, let's see. Actually, I wouldn't mind like if he goes into another team as well. Like let's say, I mean, now we have now a tradition of sending players out on loan. If he goes out on loan and does well in another league, I don't know really like what goes on with him seriously. But yeah, I think his time has ended. Like he can't do anything now further from this. But let's move on from Eric Dyer because I can go on for this for like a
Oh,
few
I
hours,
can.
and I only have you for
Oh, I
3.
can. I can assure you, I can. So yeah, it's probably
I
best
think
with
both
you.
of us can go on for like hours on this discussion on the center backs. Like this is one of those liabilities this season, really. Other than that, now, do you think that the other issue that we should have solved in our summer window was our creative midfielder? I think that's one thing we have been crying since the days of Jose when Dele Alli was underperforming, and Lamela was he had an injury as well. We were like crying for creative attacking midfielder back then, and since then we haven't seen a single creative attacking midfielder coming into our squad. What do you make of that? Like, is it like I wonder? Like, I was asking this question the other day. Is Spurs allergic to creative attacking mid and center backs lately? Like, is there some sort of allergy in the squad to those two positions? What do you make of that?
It's strange because with Conte, we know he's not going to play with a cam. But before that, Jose certainly did play before at the back and played with a cam system. The issue was we did sign cams to replace Ericsson and Dele Alli when you weren't there, or Ericsson moved to Inter and Ali's form dissipated. And Ndombele and Lo Celso did not work
Well,
at
and
all.
Dombele was not really a cam though. He's more like a CM, I think, central midfielder.
He was a CM, but I think Jose used him as a cam, and for me, he looked best as a cam for Spurs. We were first in December when Ndombele was a cam. Somehow we were first in December under Jose. What happened was Moussa Sissoko completely lost his legs, so it was
Yeah.
Højbjerg, and then Ndombele came deeper into centre midfield. So I feel like the fact that he doesn't work hard is a luxury player, and Ndombele probably is the best position for him at cam. Um, Regardless, it was probably our best option because, as you said, we didn't have any cams.
Yeah.
And since then, we haven't signed any cams either. With Conte, it makes sense. Obviously, I knew we were not going to sign Ericsson, Madison in the summer. Plays with three centre mids, and in a 3-4-3, two centre mids. You can't play an attacking mid if two of the centre mids. You're only playing with two centre mids. So I understand with Conte, but we could have still had creativity in centre midfield, slightly deeper creativity. Ward Prowse, Brozovic, Frankie De Jong would be the dream. We could have had that in the Conte system, and we didn't. We signed Basuma, and I like Basuma, but as soon as you sign him, you think he's a little bit like for like, and we're going into the
You
season, as
already
you
have.
say, without creativity, without centre backs. You got to look at the squad, and it wasn't balanced enough. It was nowhere near balanced enough.
Yeah, I think you brought up a great point since you mentioned Brozovic, because Conte kind of relied on Brozovic quite heavily as well when he was with Inter, and then he had Ericsson as well when he was playing 3-5-2 with Lukaku and Martinez up front. That was one example like where he was doing well. Like according to even some fans, it's even a point that when Conte played 3-5-2 in Inter, he looked much better than the 3-4-3 that he was playing there. Where do you stand on that? Like, do you agree with that narrative?
It was. We didn't see it a great deal. We didn't see 3-5-2 a great deal. I can't remember it too much. I remember when we had one game and it was really good, and then we had a couple of games it was really bad. So we reverted back to a 3-4-3. The balance of the squad was made for 3-4-3, not 3-5-2, because we definitely didn't have
No, I'm
six,
talking
seven.
about Inter Milan, Conte at Inter Milan, not at Spurs. Yeah.
Oh, right, because we did play a little bit at Spurs 3-5-2 last season. But obviously, Serie A is a different kettle of fish. And
Yeah.
he did sign Ericsson and brought him back into the free and centre midfield. Um, but he wasn't at his best at Inter Milan. I know they won the Scudetto. He had to become a very different player, Eriksen, in that free. So signing Cams for that to bring him back in a 3-5-2, I don't think would have worked because he doesn't want to play 3-5-2 anyway. So for Inter it worked. But it's with the balance of the team. No strikers other than Kane to play two up top 3-5-2. No actual out and out striker other than Kane. It would always be difficult to play that.
I see. How about, like, let's say you have one cam who can also play as a right winger. Like now some cams can do that. Like James Madison is certainly a player. Kulusevski was kind of like rumored that he can be that sort of a player who can play both cam and a right winger. And even Ericsson has played in the right wing spot for us before, if I'm not mistaken. How about when you have something like that, and then when in the game you need to change tactics rather than changing the personnel, you can just change the shape a little bit. How about that if, let's say, we were to get a cam, like let's say someone like James Madison, what do you make of that possibility?
Yeah, James Madison gets talked about a lot. I love James Madison. Who doesn't?
Him too.
But I wouldn't be getting him in a free centre back system. I would not be getting him with Conte there. It's as simple as that. You know, it will cost 50, 60 million pounds, and he's played on the right a few times. His best position is his cam, without a shadow of a doubt. And then you got Kulusevski there. Is Madison going to want to come into a team where he sees Kulusevski, who is probably a better right winger than he is, playing backup because the cam position is not available? I don't think Madison would be up for that. I can see your point, and it is important to be able to change things in the second half. Again, we go back to the manager, and Conte doesn't do that. He's never done that. Even in his successful spells,
Yeah.
he very rarely makes substitutions, and if he does, he makes them very late. And he's won leagues doing that. He likes to keep the same team as often as
He
possible.
likes consistency, I suppose,
Consistency in the team, in how they work, and simply players. The same players week in, week out is how Conte produces the best results. So I want Madison in the future. Don't get me wrong. If there was one cam I could pick, it's definitely Madison. Homegrown, unbelievable this season. Yeah, I'll take him.
Same here as well. I mean, I rate Madison really highly. Like I would love to have him as well. And like he's someone who has caused us problems lately in the Leicester games that we have played over the last 2 seasons or so. And I really rate that guy. Like if in summer, like let's say there is a managerial change happening, and I want to go there with you now a little bit. I know recently you did a video on your channel as well. Like now, all the news going on around, like we are linked with kind of few names. Like one of them is Thomas Tuchel, one of them is Pochettino, Luis Enrique, and now I was just reading the news as well that Marco Silva is possible as well. In those names, he has emerged as well as one of the names. I guess there's a lot of PR nonsense going on as well, and all the media nonsense that they put on as well at times. Realistically speaking, if we were to consider, like really, if let's say Conte were to walk and he doesn't sign, I mean, not that he has to walk. If he doesn't sign a contract, there's no contract there anyways. Who do you think can bring in some form of like, I mean, we all know that the real problem is not the manager, but it's Daniel Levy. It's the way he doesn't back the managers and all that. But if we were to bring in a manager, what kind of profile do you think these managers will be bringing? Like, let's just say someone like Luis Enrique or Thomas Tuchel. What kind of football they are the ones bringing into Spurs? I mean, there's this meme going on around as well that Enrique watching Davis Sanchez trying to play tiki taka. Where do you stand on, like, what kind of football would we see? What would they cook at Spurs?
Yeah, it'd be impossible. But it's a good question because we can't constantly say, oh well, Levy, it's not going to work under Levy. Doesn't matter what manager we get. As Spurs fans, we're still going to support the club. So it's good we're going to have to predict who the next manager is, Levy or not, and it's important that we do. And if I had a short list, I don't watch La Liga. I've always watched Premier League and Serie A. Serie A was the best in the 90s, and I grew up with football in the 90s. So I love Serie A and Premier League and the Championship. They're the three leagues I watch. So I don't know a great deal about Enrique, other than he was fantastic at Barcelona when Guardiola left. He played a great...
MSN time, right? When they had Messi, Suarez, Neymar, that front three.
Exactly. I mean, and then he's had Spain. He's done okay at Spain. It's one of the worst squads they've produced for a very long time, to be fair. And I do like Enrique. I like his passion on the sideline. Certainly plays a more vibrant style from what I've seen of him. But he will want players. He will need the foundation, a defensive foundation, as all managers do. And any manager coming in with the foundation that we have is gonna massively struggle. Now Tuchel makes a lot of sense because he's ex-Chelsea. We love an ex-Chelsea manager at Spurs, don't we? And
I think Tuchel is my first priority. Like, let's say if Conte were to not sign a contract, I would take Tuchel at any instance. I rate that guy very highly.
if you look at the variables, there's every chance he can. The reason why the two front runners, Pochettino and Tuchel, are there for all to see. Pochettino, because the Spurs fans love him. You know, he done okay for us before. And then Tuchel, ex-Chelsea manager, won the Champions League with Chelsea within a few months, was very good at Chelsea. They should not have sacked him at the start of the season for me. No, it's easy to say that now with hindsight because Potter's obviously struggling. But I think in general, I don't know why they done that with Tuchel. So he's a good coach, but relatively defensive again because he will play free at the back. Anybody that plays free at the back will be it'll be a sort of defensive structure to a certain extent with three centre backs. If you play three centre backs, it will be more on the defensive side of things. So I want a manager that will come in and play a 4, that has played a 4 in his previous spell. So if he was going to get Thomas Frank, for example, playing 4 at the back with Brentford, it's sort of like Thomas Frank's a 2014 version of Pochettino for me. No baggage, fresh ideas. So I like the idea of Frank. I really do. We might be able to nick Tony that way as well.
Yeah, I agree with you.
We can nick Raya. But without a doubt, Tuchel is a very good coach. Very, very.
Yeah, he's a good coach. I mean, I rate him highly. One reason I want him to come on is that he won't be likely Conte who would keep things pretty quiet and all that. He will say things out in the press conferences that what happens in the club, and he will actually reveal all that nonsense that happens behind the scene. He's not the guy who's actually gonna keep quiet over the treatment that Daniel Levy does to the managers. And what about Poch coming back now? I think Spurs fans love this topic these days. They have been singing the chants in the stadium as well. He's magic, you know. Where do you stand now on the Poch narrative? I mean, I don't mind Poch. Poch, I still rate him very well, but I don't think that he is the solution to a problem now. Like, let's say if you want to wait for another 4-year-old project, then maybe yes. But do we have time for that? I don't think no. We have the patience as a fan base at the moment to wait for another 3 or 4 years to build up another project. Where do you stand on this, Tommy?
Absolutely ridiculous. If we were to get Pochettino back, it would be. There's no way it could work. There are so many reasons it won't work, but to be sacked by the same owner and then re-employed by that owner who supported you to the extent where you didn't sign a player for 500 days. There's so much baggage with Pochettino, not just at the club, but even PSG. I know PSG is a very difficult job, but it was reported that he was going to leave within the first few months because he came in halfway through the season. A lot of players were not happy at his appointment going into that summer. The fact that he lasted as long as he did was surprising. So
yeah,
he hasn't won anything, didn't win anything for us in 5.5 years. Won a couple of trophies with PSG. You can't not win trophies with PSG, can you? So there's all that baggage that he brings, and his style of football, that attacking style of football in 15-16 worked. You had Pellegrini at Man City, who went to West Ham and got sacked. You had Rodgers at Liverpool, who he's at Leicester and looks on the verge of sacked every week. So the Premier League was in transition in 15-16, absolutely in transition. Arsenal had a senile old man in charge, Wenger. They had Man United were nowhere. Newcastle were literally nowhere. They were probably in the league below us. So there's a very different landscape now. Very, very different. And then you lose Kane on top of that. This defence, and then you lose Kane on top of that. Pochettino comes back with all that. And he's been sacked by this owner. There's no way this can work. There's absolutely no way it can work. But it will happen. I'm telling you now, he will be our next manager, Pochettino. I'm sure. Him and Tuchel are the favourites. I'm sure it'll be Pochettino because the fans want him. A lot of fans want him. He'll be free. Levy will feed the fans what they want. It won't work out. But I think he's going to be our next manager.
But that's why I say fans are the problem.
You can't say it. Some people are like, oh, the chest beaters, the alpha male chest beaters on Twitter. You don't say this about our club. Don't say this about the fans. But it is the fans. A lot of this comes down to the fans.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking to a friend of mine. He's a Bayern fan, and another one's a Barca fan. They were saying that fans in all these big clubs, they are the one who dictate the ambitions of their club. The fan base is the one that actually dictates what happens in a club. And you talk about this topic now. What I'm saying in any channel, any chat, wow, the amount of hate you get in the chat or on the Twitter, man, seriously. But it is the fans. Like fans are the ones now who want Poch back. So who should we blame? The fans or Levy? Or I mean, I think to a certain extent, fans come even before Levy because they are the one who enable him to make this kind of decisions. They are allowing him to do that. And I'm gonna get a lot of comments in the chat later, but it's okay.
It's difficult to say because Levy is the one that starved the fans. He starved the fans of trophies to the extent where the fans have no ambition now. It doesn't matter whether we win trophies or not. So the actual buck stops with Levy, but the fans fall for it. They fall for it every
Yeah.
season. And if the same thing's happening, then surely there comes a time where you have to say, right, we're no longer not Levy in. I don't see too many fans as Levy in, but Levy enablers almost.
You
They
know that one yet?
yeah, they did protect him. No matter what happens, they try to protect him and make other excuses outside of. They blame managers as well, which is the
Yeah.
worst. When certain fans blame the managers, and you see the quality of managers were brought in over time, and none of them bring success. The common denominator is Levy. Every time the
It's
common
obvious.
denominator is Levy.
I don't know if you have seen, if you have heard the recent news. I think we were discussing that in the chat. The Spurs ladies coach got sacked. I mean, she has a good track record. I mean, Ryan Skinner in the teams that she has managed, she has a good track record. I understand that yes, the nine straight losses and all that in the ladies as well. She got sacked, and apparently our youth teams are not doing that great either. Our under 21 and under 18s, our league positions are kind of below. Again, I was having this conversation the other day at another channel as well, that would you now sack all of them and say that yes, they are not performing well, or do you blame the structure, the board? It's the board. It's obvious. I mean, the way the scrub is being run is definitely the board. And again, I don't understand why still some fans fail to see that side of things. But I think this is another topic we can go on for 3 hours, and it can get fiery. Glad that we agree on it.
It's good to
Uh,
debate, though. It's good even when people don't agree. It's good to debate because we have different sections of the fan base, and it's good to hear. It's good to hear all of them. What they have to say, or especially on these live streams. Oddly, a lot of them don't show their faces on live streams. It's very difficult to get these fans to show their faces on live streams. Um,
if they do,
I,
they
I,
just want to you can.
I do think a lot of the time, as I said, it's chest beating. They want to come across as a good Spurs fan, so they won't criticise the club whatever happens. And it's problematic because it's preventing us from not even moving to the next level. We've fallen. We progressed 15, 16, 16, 17. We're fighting for titles. We have majorly regressed, and we're regressing. The only thing that stopped us regressing was Conte. Whether you like the football or not, we were sixth, we were seventh. Conte turned up, we finished fourth, and we're still fourth now somehow. With this defence, we're still fourth. He actually
Yeah.
stopped the regression, and when he goes, the regression will continue. Whether you like his football or not, the regression will continue with this club. If we handle transfer windows the way we have over the last 5 or 6 years.
Actually,
So Levy fans, there are a lot of people to blame. There are a lot of people to blame.
yep, Levy and the fans here, you guys are the problem. We have said it. Tommy has said it. He's in agreement with me. You guys are the problem.
Absolutely. We need to rise. We need to rise.
Yep. And yeah, smash all your comments there later after this video is on. Yeah, I'll listen to you guys for a few days. And yeah, let's move on from here now. Going on to the next game, Southampton away, and then after that we have our international break coming up. But I want to talk to you about Nottingham Forest a little bit. We saw a little bit of a few changes. Richarlison has come into the starting 11, and he had a decent performance after a while. I think it was some fans, including myself. I feel that the way Kulusevski has performed like last 1 month or so, I think Richarlison looked kind of better than what Kulusevski was offering us in that position. Uh, any positives to draw? And Fraser Foster was another one. I think that pen save, and I think he kind of looks like that. Yeah, he's at least stepping up in absence of Hugo. Do you think that this is a positive sign going forward into fixtures that we have for a while, or is this just a one-off result?
Nottingham Forest are struggling. I think before that game started. You probably mentioned it on your stream. I'm sure you previewed it last week. That Nottingham Forest got the second most goals, to concede the second most goals in the league going into that game. So we were always going to score against them, and we do have a devastating attack when it works. But we're at home. They are a struggling team. We failed to score in all three of the previous games. So Sheffield United, Wolves, AC Milan. We could go back to that. But South, because away we've been bad again. Is the form's changed? Like at the start of the season, we were actually pretty good away, struggling at home. Now it seems to level itself out. So we're really struggling away from home again. So it's certainly not a definite 3 points against Southampton. But the Forest game itself, I was the biggest shock in terms of the lineup was that Richarlison started for me. I felt after that interview, crazy.
Yeah, I mean that's another one that I shared. I think in few channels as well. I shared it at via Tottenham TV, and I think I was sharing that in my stream as well. That the moment a manager plays a player who has given an interview just recently against the manager, he's criticizing manager's choices. I don't think any manager who is big-headed, like what the criticism that Conte is getting, who is big-headed, who is selfish, would play a person in the starting 11. And Conte did that. That came as a shock for me. It just shows you that he was willing to let himself down and give that guy a chance, and he proved himself. It just shows the humility that he has as a manager. He's not a big-headed manager. He's not a stubborn manager. He just wants to do what's best for the team.
Absolutely. Bang on. I couldn't have said it better. He takes himself. He doesn't take himself as seriously as some people think. Surely, most 90% of managers, if not more, would have dropped Richarlison for that game. It was I had no, there was no confidence that he was starting for me. So it was a genius move. He was the man of the match, Richarlison. Probably should have scored his first Premier League goal if it wasn't for VAR. It was a genius move. That's why Conte is an elite manager, and that's why we're not football managers. That's why me and you are not.
That's why we have the problem.
Yeah, that's why we're not football managers. Conte is. It was a genius move, and it worked perfectly. Even on the weakest of his three forward positions for Richarlison, easily on the right. He looked really bad when Kulusevski's injured earlier on this season. But he brought it, and yeah, I was so surprised. But you hit the nail on the head. He's not as stubborn as some people think. The defensive line and the defensive way of playing, we have to be stubborn, and we're going to lose 4-0. If we stay on the front foot against some of these teams with this defense, we're going to lose 3 or 4-0. And then the fans certainly will not want to see that. So the stubbornness comes out of how desperate we are. But Conte is willing to make changes. Even look at Emerson Royal playing in centre midfield, almost as a cam himself. Conte engineered that without a doubt. He knows he's not effective on the right, so he's throwing Emerson into the cam position pretty much, which is genius. Again, it's a genius move. Not many people would have felt to do that. Absolutely not. But it's made Emerson look a whole lot better. Still don't rate him, but it still makes him look a whole lot better.
Yeah, I think I'm glad that you brought up this point. We were having this chat, I think a couple of days ago. I did my overview with Will Stewart the other day on my channel, and he brought up that point that Emerson can actually play as like a midfielder. And I'm surprised that Conte did engineer that move. Maybe Conte has been listening to my streams. I don't know. But that was a good move, really. I enjoyed that particular thing as well. Like, he has made our players look much better than they actually are. And how do you rate the performance from Fraser Foster?
Yeah, I mean, I was in and out. I was struggling to get a stream for the Nottingham Forest game, so I was in and out of watching the game for the whole 90 minutes against Nottingham Forest. But what I saw, I have to say I was wrong about Forster. Okay, he's only played 5 or 6 games, so I reckon over a longer period of time you will see errors from Forster. But he's came in and he's looked confident. And he's certainly not made any errors, I wouldn't say. Saved us in a couple of games as well. And Nottingham Forest certainly made some decent saves. So I thought that he was going to foul miserably because he couldn't get in front of Alex McCarthy at Southampton for 3 years. But he's proven people wrong. I'm still not sure whether he warrants that 70 grand a week. But so far coming in for Loris, I can have no complaints with Forster.
No, I think it's always good to see when your backup goalkeepers or your backup players kind of step up when you have your main player injured and all that. And I think in that role, I think he's doing a great job at this moment. Like saving a pen, I mean, it's no joke. And a lot of people I've seen in certain channels, they say that yeah, it was not a good pen. It was like a lousy pen. I think the pen was quite good. I personally felt that it was the technique was good on that pen
Yeah,
and the
yeah, it wasn't the greatest penalty, but it certainly needed saving. Many, I think, a lot of keepers may not have saved that, so
yeah.
it certainly needed saving.
By the way, big up Fresh. Fresh is an Arsenal fan. He sometimes usually join me at Dan's channel for some of the watch alongs. We'll be wrapping up shortly. Let's go into the Southampton game. Southampton struggling this whole season. Where do you stand, Tommy? Going into this game, our away form lately has not been that great. We have lost two or three, I think, last three of our away games. Uh, where what do you think we can happen after the Southampton game? We can lose an away game. We go into an international break. Do you see a sack coming?
Oh, it's a good question. It's a very good question. Southampton, are they bottom now? I think they're bottom, aren't they?
I think
Yeah,
they
they
are
are. Yeah,
bottom.
they're
Yeah,
bottom of the table.
yeah,
So on
bottom.
paper, it should be 3 points. But as you say, away form recently has been a struggle, and I don't think Southampton will get relegated. They always find a way, and with Ward Prowse in centre midfield, always kills us. Always runs the midfield when we play against Ward Prowse every time. So if he's fit, then that's going to cause us problems in itself. And we're not good at defending set pieces, especially uh, crosses from free kicks
Yep.
or and corners. We're better at taking set pieces this season. We've scored a few, but we're still very very bad defending them. So there's certainly a couple of issues, weaknesses that we have to be careful with. It's not going to be straightforward at all. But and of course, yeah, as I said, being away, it's going to be a tricky tie. Who's the Southampton manager now? Who?
I don't even know that guy's name. Uh,
Ah,
they they sacked that guy or Ruben Salas. Now it's Ruben Salas.
oh yes.
He's a Spanish guy. So he used to be.
There's always a
He
little bounce as well. All new managers have a little bounce most of the time, so that doesn't serve us well. And of course, as you said, I forgot to answer the if we do end up losing, will Conte lose his job? It could happen at any point. I don't think he will go before the end of the season because I think we'll still be at fourth or around about fourth, which is what Levy wants. So I think we'll probably see his contract out. If we lose to Southampton, wow, that would be that would be crazy. Who
the
knows?
amount of shit players are gonna get during the international break. Come on, man. 10 days without a fixture.
It's key. It's absolutely key. We win that game. Absolutely key.
I'm more worried about the YouTube community.
Oh yeah. Oh well, they'll have 2 weeks of fantastic views. We'll have few weeks of fantastic views with people having punch ups, the equivalent of punch ups on stream. Yeah, it'll be good for the
A
channels. I
few
think
flip floppings happening.
they're the worst. The flip floppers. The flip floppings in January are ridiculous. Win a game, everything's great. We're the greatest team in the world. Lose a game, we're not. We don't sign Porro. We're an absolute failure. We sign Porro. Leaves a genius. The flip flopping is insane.
No, I mean for a while actually I was on that Levy fence before January as well until I came over to the Levy out group. Because I was of the opinion that yeah, I mean, does it really matter? But then I realized yeah, it does matter. Like I was just not bothered by this whole club things, a new fan and all that. Southampton not going to be easy. Big up Eugene. Yeah, I agree with you. Southampton can be a pretty tricky one, especially when you have Ward Prowse in the midfield. Uh, and before you go, bro, score predictions for the Southampton game.
I think we'll nick it. I don't think it's going to be like 3-1, 4-1. We should be hammering them. I think we'll win by a goal, 2 goals maximum. But I do feel like we won't keep a clean sheet. So it could be I would say 2-1 or 3-1, similar to Forest. If my life depended on it and I had to predict a score, I think one of the biggest decisions will be: do you start Richarlison, and if so, do you drop Son? Do you bring Kulusevski back in? I think Conte will kick. That's a big, whatever happens there is gonna be a large decider on what happens in the game. So I think he'll go with the exact same team actually. And if he does, we need Richarlison to score. We need to get that non goal scoring hoodoo off his back. 18 games, no goals. So it'd be nice to win 2-1, let's say, and Richarlison to finally score.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you there. I think he definitely has to score. I think it's important for his own confidence as well, and as well as him to like kind of show the manager some more trust,
And he could
because
go on a run, couldn't he? And a lot of
yeah,
players, when they score their first, they could go on a run. So
yeah, they can go on a run, like because Kulusevski has been struggling. So I think this is the time that he needs to grab, because in Premier League you don't get much more chances. And I just want to discuss a little bit of league table with you. If we win this game, I think we will be 51 points ahead of Man United, depending on the result that Man United has. Lately, Man United, since their League Cup win as well, they have looked pretty much not like what they were. I think that when they had that big run before the Carabao Cup. Uh, and then we will be 10 points behind Man City and about 15 points behind Arsenal still, which doesn't look like we will ever climb. But do you think we can end up at third spot this season, given that Man United has have a bit of slip up, or do you think fourth is the best that we can get?
So I'm looking at the table now, and yeah, we're 2 points behind Man United. So if we were to win and they were to lose, we will go above them by a point, as you say. But they've got a game in hand as well. They've got a game in hand on us as well. Only 11 games to go. Uh, I don't think third's a possibility at all. I don't think we're going to get fourth, if I'm perfectly honest. So I don't think third's a possibility. I think Man United will come good. You never know. The Premier League's a funny old league. You know, they smash Liverpool.
It is.
Liverpool smash them 7-0, and then Liverpool lose the following weekend. So
Yeah,
it's
that was a surprise.
it's impossible to predict. But I'm not sure if Newcastle have the experience when it comes to the last 4 or 5 games to get into the top 4. I think they're lacking experience, manager and players. I think Liverpool will. I think Liverpool will eventually come good. They could win 10 games on the bounce. Not a problem. When they get
Yeah, I
Jota and
mean, they have
Luis
a game.
Diaz back. Yeah, Jota and Luis Diaz back. They could win 10 on the bounce like that. Not a problem.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think fourth is the best, in my opinion, we can get. If a miracle happens, if other teams really were to drop points, I think we can rely on other teams to drop points. Then we can get a third. But I don't see us getting a third. Being very realistic, as we both are, since we just said it in the beginning of the stream.
Can
Fourth
I
is
ask
the
you a
most.
question? Can I ask you an honest question?
Yeah,
Are
man.
Arsenal winning the league? Are Arsenal winning the league this season?
Uh,
Life depends on it.
so I don't think so. I'll be
Oh,
realistic. I don't think so.
good, good. I need people to say it to me because it's going to be a hard day. If that was to happen, if Arsenal were to win the league, it's going to be a very, very, very hard day for me. So there's 5 points difference. I think they'll still mess it up, Arsenal.
I think that they will mess it up. The reason why I'm saying that is not because that, yeah, I want them to mess up, but if you look at their fixtures and the games that they have in hand, they are not easy games. That compared to some of the other opponents, they have tricky games against. City doesn't have easy games as well, but City have the squad that can still cope up with those fixtures on a run. But Arsenal, now the fact that they are in Europa League still, I think they're still in playing 2 games a week. I think it's going to be tough for that squad to cope up towards the end of the season when they are playing 2 legs and all that. Uh, and we have an Arsenal fan saying, "Yeah, Arsenal are winning the league, bro." Yes, I know. We'll chat about that at Dan stream this coming week. I don't think you guys are winning the league, bro.
So it's 5 points, and they've got Man City to play as well. So if Man
Yeah,
City, you get 6 pointers in the relegation battle. They call them 6 pointers. This is a 6 pointer at the top of the table. So yeah, I mean, if Man City win that alone, they close the gap to 2 points. So
they are pretty tough fixtures towards the end. They got Chelsea. They have Man City to play. They still got Newcastle to play. Brighton can be a tricky opponent as well. Crystal Palace have proved to be kind of tricky for them lately as well. So
But
let's
whenever I
see.
feel like they're going to struggle, they just, I switched the TV on the other day. You're 3-0 up against Fulham. I'm thinking Fulham have been pretty good this season. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a very, very entertaining end to the season for ourselves and just to see if Arsenal do mess up or not.
One more question, since you brought up that good question, who is going to win the Golden Boot? Do you think Kane can take over Haaland for the Golden Boot battle? Given that now Kane is now like 6 or 7 goals behind Haaland at the moment. Do you think he can overtake him? Given, like, let's say some of our easy games, he scored like a hat trick and then a few braces. Do you think he can overtake? One more golden boot coming to Spurs this season.
I don't think Kane will score more goals than Haaland's on now, to be honest with you. And then you got Haaland's goals, whatever he scores from here until the end of the season. So I think the max Kane will score is what Haaland's on in and around what he's on now. Yeah, the guy's an absolute machine.
Yeah, man.
Machine.
Seriously, he is. He is like I enjoy watching him. And somebody the other day, Alex THFC said that he's a bang every John Carew. Can you just imagine?
He doesn't look right. When he plays football, he looks awkward. Even for Dortmund, he looks like his physique is not built for football, but for some reason it works. Everything just works perfectly, and he must be an absolute nightmare
Yeah,
to
man.
defend against.
He is. He is. But yeah, I mean, and with that, I think we are almost done with our conversations today. Big up to every single one of you in the chats. Ingwa, Fresh, we got Eugene, we got. I think that's about it today. Because I still think that's a working day in UK, so not many of you have come in. And Tommy, let us know where can people find you, and when can people see your next video? Yeah.
Right, thanks ever so much for having me. It's been a lot of fun. Actually, it's been a lot of fun. Coming on your stream for the first
Thanks
time.
for coming
Hope
on.
I hope we share the stream at some point in the future. That's for sure. I need to get you. I need to get you on my channel, of course. Um, and yeah, the Hotspur Hood. The Hotspur Hood. We do. I used to do quite a few live streams, but we only do two a week now. One with guests and one solo stream on my own, which usually takes place Thursday or Friday, 5 p.m. GMT. So that's fully interactive. That's a bit different because whatever's in the chat, I literally use the viewership, the comments in the chat as the content, pretty much. So yeah, question time will be the next stream. I think we'll be doing it Friday, 5 o'clock, and a few
Yeah,
short
I
videos
like
every
that.
morning. Yeah,
I
it's fun.
admire all those guys who can do the streams with the chats. I really can't. Like, I need somebody to discuss things with.
It's fun. I no, I do. I find it is a lot of fun. No, you don't get me wrong. You have to throw a couple of stuff. Throw a couple of bits up there yourself. Answer your own questions in many ways. But that's what question time's all about, and it's a lot of fun. And on Tuesday, last night's stream, literally we have a lot of fun towards the end of the stream. We try not to take things too seriously. As difficult as it is, I seem to be ranting more and more as the weeks go by, and I do a few short vids every morning as well. So yeah, if you haven't seen it, please go over there, subscribe. Really does make a difference. We're on the road to 2.5k, but of course, make sure you subscribe to Elias here and Step Up Spurs. It's absolutely key. It's a relatively new channel, so every sub is absolutely needed because I know a lot of people watch but they don't subscribe. So it's free. It's completely free. So hit the sub here. Yeah, thanks ever so much for having me, man.
Yeah, thanks, Tommy, for coming on. It's definitely a pleasure
Big
to
up
have.
Eugene, by the way. Big up Eugene.
Yeah,
Great
big up,
streamer
bro.
as well.
You're a great support always, and big up Fresh, all the way from Arsenal. Although Arsenal is not that far from Tottenham. In the league table, you are. And big up to Ingwa. Ingwa is there as well. Yeah, man. Okay, for me, I'll be doing my next stream now on my Monday morning, and your Sunday night. I'll be doing a post-match show with some of the guys. It's pretty late, I think at about 1 a.m. GMT, because it's my morning. I do that stream usually with the US guys, Dietrich, Cube, and all those people. So I'll be doing that on Sunday night. And with that, come on, you Spurs.